The story of gods and demigods always seems to interest us humans. Their omnipotent power and their all-knowing ability do breed a seed of curiosity within all of us. What will we feel, or what will we do if we have the same ability as they do? Although this question may seem absurd, but there are some reasons behind such a thought experiment as this will help us answer whether or not we should seek a life of pleasure or a life of voluntary suffering, or whether or not life should be easy. Throughout history, we have witnessed incredible people who are just above the average person. Take Alexander the Great, for example. He became king of Macedonia at the age of 20, after his father passed away from an assassination. And by 32, he had conquered and built one of the greatest empires in ancient history. Was this not an ability of a god, or at least godlike? Or take Leonardo da Vinci. He was a painter, draftsman, engineer, scientist, theorist, sculptor, and architect during the Renaissance. His work epitomized the Renaissance humanist ideal, and he is considered one of the greatest painters in human history. Was this not a godlike ability? How about Sir Isaac Newton? Or Charles Darwin? I could go on all day and list some of the most outstanding achievers throughout human history, but the real question here is what made them great? And should we desire the same as them? Was it sheer luck, or was it their innate ability, or was it a God-given power? When we think of the greatest people throughout history, we feel both a sense of awe and somberness. Somber at our inability to achieve what they had achieved, or to think the way they think. We cannot help but wonder, what if we could become great like them? What if we were given the power by God to become godlike? Would we use it and change the course of history, or would we simply become bored of our power as everything has become dull? The reason behind such a thought experiment is to ponder if we will use our power to do everything we ever wanted, or if we will just be engulfed by boredom, as everything has now become easy for us. This does show a side of human nature and our intrinsic motivation to achieve certain goals. Is the goal we are trying to achieve a truly worthwhile goal because it is challenging for us, or is it worthwhile because of the result that it will bring us after its completion? The greatest irony of life is that life is a struggle, and what makes it bearable is working toward meaningful goals. We work to reach those goals, but does achieving all of our goals in an easy manner will bring us the happiness that we desperately seek? Or will it just become a fleeting emotion that we will become accustomed to in the near future? The thought of achieving everything we ever wanted is both exciting and scary at the same time. What if we do not feel happy as we had promised ourselves that we would? What if we no longer find joy in the things we do because there are no longer any milestones to reach? This is the reason why many of us set goals that are beyond our reach, and even if we reach them, we set another goal in order to give us that instinct motivation. It is known that people feel depressed or low after achieving big milestones. After achieving a big goal, our brain releases the achievement hormone, which increases our creativity, focus, alertness, and concentration. But what this hormone does is motivate us to seek more rewards. Our brain craves the next high, an even bigger high, so we set bigger goals in order to feel the same sensation again. However, what if we become godlike and no goals are too far for us to reach? Now that everything has become easy, our brain can no longer derive the same high from the achievement hormone. Others have seemed to figure out a way around the destination disease. Instead of focusing on the outcome or the destination, one should focus on the journey itself. However, we no longer have the journey to enjoy, as everything has become easy for us. There is no longer any challenge associated with what we do. Now that we have become godlike, would we contemplate suicide as we have become bored with life? One of the biggest lies that ever told was life is supposed to be enjoyable. That is probably true when we are younger, but as we get older, if we do not get this lie out of our lives, we are bound to suffer greatly. There are just but a few people who could coast through lives with minimum suffering, yet feel fulfilled and happy in their lives. Society puts much value on happiness and fulfillment, To such an extent that if we are not happy or fulfilled in our lives, then something must be wrong with us. We are prescribed medicines that are supposed to make us happier. Of course, there are underlying psychological conditions that make some of us depressed, but the stress regarding the daily toil is important for us as a person. Struggle and pain are necessary for our well-being, even if we do not want it. Without resistance in our lives, how are we expected to grow as an individual? Of course, there are unnecessary sufferings, such as the loss of loved ones or an accident that leaves permanent damage, that many people endure that do not necessarily bring them growth. But that is beyond the scope of this discussion. We are here to focus on the intentional struggle and pain that we put ourselves through in order to become better people once we overcome such challenges. Think of the time when you are at the most happy. You probably are thinking of your loved ones, or after you overcome a difficult situation in your life. The promotion that you received after toiling for years, the exceptional grades you received after months of late-night study, and etc. During the process of toiling and struggle, we suffer, yet we push through it. Why? Because we know that all these will be worth it. The greater the resistance, the greater the pleasure you will derive from achieving it. Life is supposed to be a series of ups and downs. A life of continuous ups is not sustainable. Heck, it is not even pleasurable. The attempt to chase the perpetual happy life will result in an addiction for the next high. Only by failing and experiencing the low could we see the beauty in our next success. This may seem counterintuitive at first, but once we dissect it, everything will become clear. As humans, it is natural for us to seek the path of least resistance. That makes sense. The more energy we preserve, the more likely we are going to survive. However, an easy life does not translate into a happy life. In order for us to live a truly happy life, the decision to walk in the opposite of what is within our nature is necessary. We must actively seek hard paths in order for us to maximize a better life for ourselves in the future. The Stoics are known for actively participating in voluntary hardship. They wear simple clothing, eat plain food, or sleep on the ground. The reason behind their action is to detach themselves from materialistic wealth, but we could also apply this as a means to overcome our natural instinct. But why should we seek a life of hardship when we could simply indulge in what our nature inclines us to do? To answer that, we must ask ourselves the question of why are we here? Why are we on this planet? Is it for the purpose of indulging in life's greatest pleasure? Or is it to accomplish something worthwhile? We only get this one life. So why must we sacrifice our potential for momentary comforts? The future holds all kinds of possibilities, but it could only be unlocked if we put the effort now. Of course, that does not mean exhausting oneself daily in order to accomplish something. Life is all about balance. Too much of something is not good for us. Too much work would lead to burnout, while too much indulgence would breed laziness. The point is, life is neither supposed to be happy nor sad nor enjoyable all the time. It is not a destination either. To live a truly fulfilling life that we are bound to be proud of is to live as if it is the journey of a lifetime, which it really is. Don't think of your action as something that gives results immediately, but extrapolate it into 10 years' time or 20 years' time. The work you put in now to build a healthy lifestyle would pay off in 10 years or so, while your negligence in building a healthy lifestyle would cost you a decade or a few decades later.